Yeah, so carbon markets are a way for, initially for firms to trade emissions. And so if we think of a cap and trade market where, say, there's two businesses in an industry and they each produce 100 tons of carbon emissions, and we want to reduce that by 10%, most people think that each firm would reduce to 90 tons of carbon, but maybe one firm can do it more efficiently or cost effectively, so they would reduce down to 80 tons and sell the rights to claim that other 10 to the other firm. And so this is a way to trade emissions, basically the right to claim emissions between companies. So for agricultural operations, most of the way they participate in these carbon markets is they sequester carbon, right? And so we actually suck CO2 out of the air and store it typically in soils. And we use that reduction in atmospheric carbon as a way to offset industrial carbon emissions. When we think about it with agricultural operations, we're typically thinking about terrestrial sequestration, where we actually use typically growing plants to suck CO2 out of the air, move it down into the root zone and store it in the soil. Currently, with global aims at reduction and reducing emissions in regards to climate change, obviously there's some economic incentives, right? So if you can get paid to sequester carbons in soils, that's a way to add another revenue stream to an agricultural operation. So with carbon markets, there's really two potential reasons that people would want to buy offsets. One is any sort of policy mandate, right? So a true cap and trade system. The other is voluntary reductions in emissions. And those come typically from demands from consumers or shareholders of organizations. And they make some sort of claim for net zero climate, net zero carbon. So I think AgNext has a couple ways that we can help improve these markets. One is just doing more ground truthing of these different rangeland management interventions and verifying the impacts they have on terrestrial sequestration. I think one of the biggest advantages AgNext brings right now, though, is the ability to add that enteric methane as an option for these offset markets as well. Continued investment in this sort of research is going to be critical to help build confidence for enteric methane reduction, as well as carbon sequestration in these carbon offset markets moving forward.